Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tracy Rogers, and I'm our manager of our community over here at Tableau. I'm in the Seattle office, and today I am happy to be presenting to you our developer office hours with Ted Wasserman. He is actually out of our Austin office, so we're doing it a little bit of a long-distance dev office hours. But he is our PM for our mobile team, so he's going to give a quick presentation of kind of on some of the stuff that he's been working on and a little demo of mobile, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So the best way that you can ask a question is you should see a little Q&A question box on your Zoom menu there, or you can also put it into the chat. So if you do it in the chat, everyone will be able to see it, and if you do it in Q&A, it will come just to the panelists, and we'll make sure that we get them all answered. If for some reason we can't get to all of them because you all have too many questions, Ted has started an Ask Me Anything thread on the community, so we'll send out that link afterwards, and we can continue the conversation there. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ted.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for inviting me. Hello, Tableau community. It's great to be here today. Thank you so much for your support. I'm here based in our lovely Austin, Texas office. You can see my nice blue wall behind me. Nice, calm sort of feeling. It's a beautiful day here, actually. It's like 80 degrees and sunshine and perfect spring Austin day. I really appreciate you guys coming and spending time with us. I've really never been part of such a sort of vibrant, awesome community like the Tableau community. I think we really do have something special, and so let's continue to nurture that and make it everything it can be. And I'm particularly passionate about today's topic, which is about mobile. I've been at Tableau for about 5 years now. I've worked on different parts of the product, so everything from databases and getting data into the product to maps and spatial analysis and mobile. And I'm really focused on our mobile offering now. And I'm really passionate and excited about mobile because it's one of those disruptive technology that fundamentally changes the way we work. Right? There's some crazy statistics out there that I've heard, right? In some countries, I think I've heard that more people have mobile phones than bank accounts, right? More people have mobile phones than like clean running water. It's really astounding. And even in my day-to-day life, when I drop my boys off at school, I see little kids, they're probably 7 or 8 years old. They have their own phones and mobile devices. Right? 5 years ago, that would have been unheard of. I'm not going to comment on whether I think that's right or not, but mobile is just taking over, right? So it's a really exciting time. And today, we're really going to talk about mobile sort of within the context or within the lens of analytics, right? How can we provide seamless access to data to anybody, no matter where they are, so that they can be more effective in their job? And just if you haven't had a chance to take a look at Tableau's mobile solution, I thought I'd spend the first couple minutes just talking about it, doing a quick demo, and then we can open up for any types of questions you have. And so we knew as we were building Tableau, we have a really great self-service analytics solution. We knew our approach to mobile also had to be different from the traditional approaches sort of in the industry. We really wanted to keep to our core mantra, right? Focused on sort of this fast, easy, and beautiful creation of content and delivery. We didn't want to have to require you to have specialized developers to do this, specialized servers or services sort of to enable your content to be sort of on mobile. Right? With Tableau, any workbook you create is just automatically mobile enabled by default when it's accessed from a mobile device, right? You can use gestures like pinching and zooming and swiping and scrolling, right? And leverage other touch optimized interactions, right? Filters, selection, and so on. And we also have a really unique capability when you're on bigger devices like tablets, you can actually go in and ask and answer sort of brand new questions that you weren't anticipating with our, we call it web authoring capability, right? So you can go in and keep asking questions, analytics, while you're on the go, even if things that have come up you didn't sort of anticipate when you originally built your original content. Today, Tableau has a hybrid mobile offering. We offer apps for Android and iOS. We also enable you to access your content from a mobile web browser. So if you're on a Windows phone, you can use a Windows browser. If you have a different type of browser, like if you don't use Safari or Chrome, maybe your company has invested in mobile device management technology. Maybe you have the AirWatch browser or the Good browser, right? We have a hybrid strategy that lets you sort of use our web browser to access your content. We also have enabled the capability of embedding Tableau views in other places. So we have a number of customers who have apps that their users already go to every day and use, and they want to embed Tableau visualizations inside those other apps. Right? People are already going there. Why not just put the content where people are already going rather than have one other place for them to go? We also have customers just developing custom apps, the store manager app for the widget company, for example. And so we have capabilities that lets our customers do that as well. I thought I'd quickly show you what the mobile experience looks like. Let me try and share my screen here. See if this works. Bear with me 1 second. Tracy, are you seeing my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Awesome. So I'm here on my personal phone. I'm going to show you what the experience looks like on our iOS Tableau mobile app today. We also have an Android app, but I'll open the iOS app. I'm connected right now to a Tableau online server. So I previously logged in, and the app remembered that I had logged in. Right? Tableau Mobile, we really want it to be the fastest and most delightful way to stay on top of your data. Think about opening your Windows laptop, trying to connect on your VPN, connecting to Tableau, right? How long does that process take? Versus on my phone, right? I start on my home screen, I tap the app, I want to get right to my data. That is a really important experience that we focused on. But I'm here, I'm connected to my Tableau online account. This is just a sample account I have with some sample visualizations. I'm here on the bottom on this favorites tab. These are visualizations I go to all the time. And there's a little star beside them. This little circle, by the way, that you see on the screen is just my fingertip. So you can see where I'm pressing. These are my favorite visualizations. So what I do is, for my real visualizations, not these sample ones, I star the ones that I use every day. So they're right here when I first load in the app, right at my fingertips. The other nice thing about favorites is that they're available to you even when you're offline. So we capture these high-resolution images or snapshots of favorites that I can peruse even when I'm not connected to my server. Maybe I'm on an airplane or I'm in a subway tunnel, somewhere where there's no connectivity. I can still access them offline. And I can make them full screen. So if I tap one, I can see it sort of full screen. I can sort of swipe between all my favorite views, right? It's really a really nice experience. And if I see something, if I want to go in and interact with one of these views, these are just images, right? I can sort of pinch and zoom and scroll these images. But if I want to go in and actually interact with the data, I can just tap on it. It will bring me to this live interactive view where I can go and find more information. This is a visualization on bike sharing, right? So I'm looking at all the bike share data, all the hourly rides across different days, across all stations. Maybe instead of looking at all stations, I'll tap that filter. You see I have this nice mobile optimized quick filter. Maybe I only want to look at bike data around the Adler Planetarium. So I can quickly tap that filter my visualization. I can tap just like I can on the desktop to get more details on demand in the form of tooltips or other things that I can quickly use. So this is one of my favorite views. Let me go back. So that's my favorite views. I can also see all the data on my server. So I can see all my recent data, all the recent visualizations I've been to in the last little while. I can also go look at all the visualizations I have access to on my server. So maybe I want to find one around sales. I can quickly start typing. It will bring up all the ones that are sales related. I can quickly look. Maybe I only want to see the visualizations that are part of one of my projects. So I can quickly add, let's say, a project filter that says, well, maybe I only want to look at the visualizations in the marketing project, right? So within a couple of taps, it's really easy for me to get and find the content I want so I can start interacting with it. So this is the essence sort of our Tableau mobile experience today. Again, we want to enable really fast access to your content so you can start interacting with it. We really focus on that first experience, the experience for finding content really easily within a couple of taps, and also this offline capability that lets me stay on top of the views I use most often, even when I don't have connectivity to the server. So that was a quick overview of the app. I think now I've talked enough. So I'd love to open it up for questions right now from everybody here.
So it looks like we have a couple from Arnold. I'll just read what he wrote in the chat. So when are we going to support the native iOS swipe features, for instance, where we could layer containers with sheets to quickly swipe through? And he's talking about swiping between tabs, but not swiping between tabs, but swiping from a single container in a dashboard.
Yeah, that could be really interesting enhancement. We've thought about that, right? The request that comes up, I'd say the most often is when I'm looking at a live sort of workbook that has multiple sheets, I'd love to be able to sort of swipe between the different sheets and the tabs. Not what you're asking, but we hear that one too. But yeah, that's sort of an interesting one, right? Especially when you're on a phone and you have limited screen real estate space, right? You have a bunch of sort of dashboard or a bunch of different sheets or views there. Is there an experience for quickly sort of, going between those different views, bringing a view up full screen, going to a different view of the dashboard? We have thought about that. I think it's a really good idea. Would love your feedback if you've seen other examples of apps or other services that have done that really well. We'd love to hear what sort of resonates with you. Good question.
We have another question from Amit. Do we have to create separate versions for a mobile dashboard, or does the app customize visual to fit the mobile screen?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So if you've designed your dashboard to with good sort of design best practices, right? Using sort of we call it automatic layout, it is possible to design a dashboard that can scale up or down, across different screen sizes. Again, you have to think about that as you're designing it. If you design a fixed size dashboard, meaning you're designing it for sort of a known screen size, I think it's unrealistic to expect it to sort of scale down in the most user-friendly or optimal way. So it is possible to do that. Another way to do that is by leveraging a new capability we added back in Tableau 10 called Device Designer. Device Designer lets you design different layouts of a dashboard for different screen sizes. So for example, I can have one dashboard, but I can have a layout of that dashboard that is designed specifically for desktop size monitors, maybe a layout of that dashboard that's designed for tablet size sort of screens, and one designed for really small screens like phones, right? It's really easy to design these different layouts. It's really just drag and drop. And the nice thing is when you've designed these different layouts, it's still one dashboard. You're still publishing a single dashboard to the server. to have multiple layouts in it. And the server will be smart and serve up the right layout depending on what device you're coming in with. So if you've designed, let's say, a layout for a phone and a desktop computer, if you've connected to your server with your phone, the server will recognize that and serve up that layout that you designed for the phone. So again, answer your question, yes, it's possible you've followed really good design best practices, to design something that scales across different screen sizes nicely, or you can also use our device designer capability to design, really nice looking things for different size screens.
Awesome.
Good question.
The next question we have is, do you have any advice on using Device Designer to build mobile views of tables? It can be hard to crunch tables in particular into small views. Other visualizations are much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tricky, right? Especially when you're on a phone, and most people use the phones in like vertical layouts, right? So if you're trying to do that on a phone, the best thing would probably be to design your dashboard so it's in portrait landscape to just get, especially if it's a wide table, right? You want to try and maximize that. You lose the horizontal screen space when you do that, but it might be more important in that case to have it like that. You also might want to think about, are there ways to simplify it? Do you really need every single column in the table, right? Or on a mobile view, are you really only looking for, let's say, aggregate totals of the last 6 months rather than the last, 18 months, right? So think about other ways to simplify this for a mobile user so that they don't need to see every single piece of data in that table. The other thing is, text tables are really popular. It's especially for people who are used to looking at them, the accountant types and so on, who are used to seeing the data in spreadsheets and so on. But of course, one of the benefits of Tableau is being able to leverage sort of visualizations to really see and understand the data, point out sort of hotspots and so on. So my other suggestion would be, thinking about, is the text table even really needed? Are there other ways to express that same data in a visual way, where somebody can get the same interpretation or outcome they need from it when they're doing their task? Maybe the text table isn't part of the original dashboard. Maybe it's like get more details type thing, right? View underlying details, where you really need those underlying details, you can go and put them off to a different spot. Those are just some ideas. Be really great to hear, if other folks on the call or listening to this on replay or in the community have thoughts about what they've done in the past. I think it's a really good question, and it'd be great to hear what you guys are doing.
Yeah, actually, Arnold just chimed in. He says that freezing the pane between dimension and measures could work in tables, so you can scroll to the left to see more measures on a mobile while keeping the dimensional context.
Cool, that's good tip.
So our next question is, when we talk about the performance, does the mobile capability factor the report pull experience too? Or do you need to have the best high-powered mobile in order to see the dashboard perform most efficiently? Yeah,
that's an interesting question. I think the answer is it depends. Certainly, no matter what you're looking at, right? No matter what type of machine you're looking at, using a newer machine, the latest generation iPhone or Android device, or the latest generation MacBook, right? It has the latest hardware, it's always going to give you the best sort of experience just because of new improvements and enhancements in the hardware that it's built on. It's a given. It's Moore's law, right? However, we have to remember that a lot of the sort of the heavy work, the data processing and crunching, is actually happening on the server side. Right? And the server is doing all that and setting sort of a view of that data to render on the mobile device. So yes, it is possible to get good performance even on older generation devices. There's a lot of factors that play in. If your dashboard is complex. You're trying to render a lot of points on the screen. You have a lot of zones or areas in your dashboard. You have like a lot of filters, right? All that stuff adds complexity to the task that the mobile device has to do to render it, right? So it's possible, but depending on how complex your dashboard is, your mileage may vary in terms of the performance you get.
Awesome. Here's a quick one. Do you know if we have any documentation available on dashboard design best practices?
Yes.
I actually don't know.
Yes, we do. There was a series of blog articles written, I'd say last year. Some showed up on the Tableau public blog and some on our corporate blog. If you Google, I'm just trying it now, Tableau mobile design blog. Let's see if that pulls it up. Yeah, so let me share this with you. Share my screen just so you see what I did to find those. Share my what one is it? This way. Let me know if you see that.
We see Google results.
Okay, great. I just typed it in Google, Tableau Mobile sort of design, and then blog, because I knew we had blogged about it. You can see here, right? Tips for designing or using our device designer feature that makes it easy. Tips for designing mobile-friendly dashboards, right? Mobile dashboard design, choose your. There's like a series of a good series of 7 or 8 articles in here that I think have really great sort of design practices in them that I highly encourage that you read. Last year at our TC16 conference, there were also a number of sessions around designing for mobile and using the device designer feature. If you go to our TC site, there's a lot of those sessions were recorded. So I would also encourage you to go back and look at the recordings from some of those sessions, because there were a lot of great sort of tips and so on in those sessions.
Awesome. Oh, I got a question about if we'll send this recording out at the end. We definitely will. So another interesting question was, and this goes back to our Tableau desktop roadmap, but also I think it applies to our mobile, if this feature will be included, is the idea of embedding a viz in a tooltip, and if you think that will ever make it into the mobile product.
Yeah, we've been working with the team working on that feature sort of on the desktop side, right? So we're trying to come up. It's a little bit harder on mobile, right? Just because there's a little bit less screen real estate and so on. But we've been definitely working with them on what the right experience is for doing that, because it is something we're quite interested in. So yeah, that is something to look forward to as well.
Awesome. So next I'm going to ask a couple questions from our community.
Sure.
So one question that we have is, what's the best solution for our users to test and verify their dashboards, and verify that their dashboards work well on mobile?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways. One is, as you're building the dashboard in our Tableau desktop tool, there is a way to preview what the dashboard might look like across different size of devices like phones and tablets, and even within those different models of devices like iPhone and Android, Samsung S7, and so on. It's not a true emulation, right? But it's, as an author, it gives you a sense for what is this, how are things going to flow and lay out. Obviously, the best way to do it is to test it on a real device. That's what I do. So I publish it to the server after I've done that initial looking, and I test it on a real device. There's also tools that provide slightly better emulation capabilities. For example, I know in the Google Chrome browser, there's a special, I think it's called like a developer tool that lets you preview sort of a website as if you were on different devices, like an iPhone or a Samsung device or so on. So you can use those sort of developer-y tools in the browser if getting a real device or a series of real devices connected and sort of testing it out, if that's difficult, that could be another way to go.
And do you have a suggestion for any good ways for server admins to audit or test content on mobile, first for functionality and second for performance?
Server admins. Yes. So as part of the device designer feature that we added, we've also enhanced a couple of our mobile admin views. So as people use the content, we're capturing information and storing it in our, we call it Postgres repository, or which our admin views are based off of. So we capture a lot of data about how or who's using it and what's being used and so on. And we built a couple of administration views based on that you can use to see, what views are getting the most traffic, are they coming in on phones, are they coming, right? So you can go and see that. And so that's sort of what we recommend is, if you have a lot of existing dashboards that you're looking to mobilize, start with the ones that are getting the most use and start going down the list and tackling those most sort of important ones first. You can also survey your users as well to see which ones are most important for their job, or which ones are going to get the most mobile use, and get their standpoint as well. In terms of performance, there's different ways of doing it. Probably the best way is we have a performance sort of capturing tool. There's a way to enable sort of a performance recording for a dashboard, so you can see all the different parts of that sort of pipeline, everything from getting the data to sort of processing or doing the calculations on the data all the way to the rendering step. So you can enable these performance recordings to sort of analyze sort of your important dashboards to see, what areas of the pipeline are consuming the most time. And by identifying those, you can sort of look at ways of solving those sort of any problems or big sort of areas that seem to be affecting performance.
Cool. This one I thought was really interesting. Andy Piper had a question about if there is an ability currently or on the roadmap that will allow the iOS app to be location aware with Mapbox Studio GL, so that we can provide content that would, for example, allow a salesperson to call upon a customer that is close to their current location and provide information about that customer to the salesperson.
Yeah, no, I saw that on the community forum earlier this morning. It's a really cool question. Glad to hear folks are using the Mapbox maps. That's awesome. They have a really cool offering. We sort of enable that today through our own Tableau maps. So we have like a feature on our maps. You can say, center the map around where I am now. It uses your GPS coordinates. So you can see, I'm here, and then I can see little dots around me. My dots are my customers or my wind turbines or whatever use case I happen to be in. And that will let me know which ones I'm close to and which ones I might want to visit while I'm in the area. A second part of that thread that I responded to was asking for feedback on another idea we had around doing location-based filtering. Wouldn't it be cool if, let's say I'm a salesperson, I'm driving to my next account, I'm running late, and I'm always pressed for time. I get to my account, I take my tablet out of my bag, right? I quickly open the Tableau Mobile app like I was doing before, rather than going there and filtering my customers. So like opening a filter, finding my customer on the filter list, or searching for them, which can be time-consuming or error-prone. Wouldn't it be cool if Tableau could just like automatically filter to that customer based on my GPS coordinates where I am right now. That's another thing we've been noodling here on the team is how can we provide, how can we build in more of this context awareness into our mobile flows? Because it is really, it really is an area where mobile sort of can be really delightful, right? Really make the experience unique and different and better than you can do on a desktop because of the unique capabilities in the device, like a GPS, like a camera, like gyro or the accelerometers and so on, right? So how can we take advantage of these unique capabilities of devices to make the workflow better? But that was another idea that we had, and you could, if you go onto the community forum that Tracy had mentioned there, love to get your feedback on that idea as well.
All right, Ted, putting you on the spot here. Could you share some parts of the mobile roadmap that you're most excited about? And is there anything in particular we should start getting excited about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm excited about a lot of things, actually. One of the big things we're working on right now. One of the big things is, you know, we released our iOS app into the market almost a year ago, maybe more. We released it like a good full year before our Android app. So our Android app doesn't have all the same capabilities as the iOS one, but we want to get it up to that point, right? Because we have a lot of Android users who are really passionate about it. So that's one of the big things we've been working on is how do we bring the Android app closer to what we have on the iOS side, things like snapshot support and different authentication mechanisms, easier to search and find your data, that type of thing. That's been a big area we've been focused on. We're also working on a capability called deep linking. That is the ability to sort of tap a link to a viz and have it open directly in the app. A lot of our customers today use subscriptions, for example, subscription emails. And you know, I get up in the morning, I get my 7 a.m. subscription email. I want to, it's a snapshot of the data. I want to go to the live data and play around with it. Today when I tap on that link, it opens in the web browser. So we want to give users the ability who have the app to open that link directly in the app. So for Tableau Online, it should just work like that. You tap a link and it works. It should open in the app. For customers with on-premise servers, there's one additional step. Tapping the link will open it in a web browser, but the very first thing you'll see in the web browser is a little banner that says, hey, open this in the Tableau mobile app. Probably seen this before with other apps that you use. So it's still easy, right? Just a couple taps away to open that content in the app. Beyond those two things, there's a couple of other things we're working on. We want to make it easier to get into your data. We have customers with different configuration settings in regards to authentication, single sign-on, different MDM type of providers like Citrix and BlackBerry. We really want to make it easy for those customers to pick up our app and deploy it in their existing infrastructure. And that's a big investment area for us, make it easier to sort of deploy that access anywhere. Another one is around just improving parts of the touch experience. There's still examples, like some of the ones I mentioned here earlier today, like being able to quickly swipe right between zones of a dashboard or between tabs of a dashboard, right? Having viz and tooltips, or even a different sort of cool experience around smooth tooltips. We demoed that at our TC conference last year. That's something we're interested in. And then finally, we're thinking of a new experience to stay on top of your most critical data. We call it sort of like headlines at a glance, right? Stay on top of your most important KPIs, right? Almost like you can stay on top of your most important, if you're an investor, like you can stay on top of your most important stocks, right? So you have a list of your most important KPIs or stocks. You get a sense if the stock is going up or down. You can ask a few questions, filter them. You can be notified when something important happens, right? Hey, if my number drops below this threshold, hey, send me a notification so I can take action. Right? That use case of these sort of personal headlines is really important to us, and that's also going to be another area we're investing in that I'm really excited about.
Cool. Let's see. I think we're slowing down on questions here.
These are really good questions.
Oh, one that was asked in the community as well, that might be good for this group would be, is there any, speaking of roadmap, is there any roadmap for allowing Citrix wrapping of the Tableau mobile app?
Yeah, there is. I was sort of alluding to that in my other answer there. We want to be able to support the technologies or platforms our customers have already invested in, whether it's a single sign-on platform, whether it's an MDM platform like Citrix. BlackBerry also comes up into that conversation. We want to make it easier to deploy. So certainly, we are working with Citrix right now on how to integrate our app a little bit more tightly with their platform so customers can deploy. We need to make a couple of enhancements to make that possible. There's a couple of small incompatibilities that prevent us from doing that today, but we've been working with Citrix on addressing those, and it's certainly our intention to have a version of our app that our customers who have invested in the Citrix platform to be able to deploy it on that.
Cool. Arnold is just saying they wrap iOS with Citrix VPN from their MDM for about a month, and they're waiting for the Android VPN wrapper support from Citrix.
Great. No, that's good to know. We have a number of customers who are looking at that. Like I said, we know that there's some incompatibilities today with the way those wrapper technologies works, but we are directly tied into the engineering teams at those various companies and working together with them to figure out the right way of addressing those.
Great. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask the community, Ted?
Let's see. What my biggest question is, what are the types of things? Obviously, we're going to be making product enhancements. That's sort of a given. We'd love to know, what are the ones that will have the most impact for you? But even outside of product enhancements, what are the other things we could be doing to help you be successful on your mobile journey? It could be anything. Is it better documentation, more training? What are those other types of things? Yeah, just like I said, product enhancements that we can do to help make sure you're successful. We'd love your ideas, and I've already had a number of ideas talking to a number of other customers outside of this. So there's a couple of things in the works, but please share your feedback with us. We want to make sure you're successful.
Yeah, and if anybody has ideas right now, feel free to add it to the chat or add it to, I just shared a link to the community thread. So it looks like we've got, we've got a question from Paulo. Ted, can you show some of the dashboards that you create for mobile?
Yeah.
So maybe that executive summary?
Yeah. I have a couple of examples. I think there's some really cool ones too on the Tableau Public community too. I always look to Tableau Public because there's a really creative people there, really creative authors who have really done some great things. So I would also encourage you to look there. Especially, I think last year was the first year we did this. We're doing it again this year as part of that Iron Viz competition. Having people design sort of mobile views of their sort of traditional desktop dashboards was sort of something that we've tried out over the last year. And so I would highly recommend looking at those entries, just because there's a lot of really great ideas there. Let me share my screen here. Give me a second. Let me know if you can see that. You see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. a lot of allergies right now. It's springtime in Texas. So here's I'm showing this in Tableau Desktop. Here's sort of like a pretty typical example of what I'd call an executive type of dashboard, right? You have some charts on here. You have some metrics that can be shown. I think they're just not being shown because my screen, I didn't really size my screen big enough in this share window, but it's not a big deal. This is like pretty typical, I think, of what you would see for like a high-level executive type dashboard. What you could do is you can take something like this and you can make, well, first thing you could do is you can see how this could look across a number of different devices. So here I can tap this device preview button. I can choose the device. Maybe I want to look at this on a desktop monitor. You maybe want to look at it at a tablet size, right? So it's sort of shrunk down pretty well. That's a generic tablet, but maybe I want to look at it on an iPad or mini. It sort of gives you an idea, basically using the screen size, the screen resolution of the device, like what to expect. Now, if you bring this down to a phone size, right? This is a generic phone. You know, I see an iPhone 6 Plus, maybe an iPhone 6. Like you go through, scroll through different things, but you can see like this is an example where, you know, it just didn't size down properly. You know, not to be, you know, it's not unexpected. And so what you can do, you know, using device designers, you can really just make this work a lot better. Rather than just using the default layout that it inherited, you can customize this for mobile. And to customize it, you just click this custom button, and then you can sort of rearrange things in a way that makes sense. What I'd like to do is I tend to try and simplify dashboards like this. So I'll remove things that aren't important. Maybe I'll, you know, I also tend to sort of put things in sort of a vertical layout. So I'll put like a couple of filters like this at the top. This is just an example. You can do whatever you want. You know, maybe I'll remove this. I'll remove this. So maybe I'll have like a couple of the most important KPIs. Make this a little bigger. Scroll down a bit more. There we go. Maybe I will get rid of the map, for example. Maybe I'll keep this, you know, line chart. Make it a bit bigger. There we go. Make it there. So again, basically created like this vertical sort of scrolling layout, right? Typical to the way I'm typically holding my phone like this with one hand, my thumb. You know, I've designed it in a way that, you know, I can, you know, quickly maybe filter at the top, see a couple of my KPIs, and then you can quickly scroll with a couple of, you know, flicks with my phone to see the info. So I think it's like things like that, just thinking a little bit about, you know, what are the most important things that people need. People need everything they have in the desktop view when they're on the road, right? Or do they just need the most critical things? You know, putting it in a layout that makes sense. So I really like these sort of portrait sort of scrolling layouts. I tend to put like filters and KPIs at the top. You know, minimize the amount of other things. Having big touch targets when possible is also nice, just because, you know, I have big fingers, so trying to touch a small area, like if I had a map here that was sort of zoomed out, and, you know, I tried to say, hey, like select what state you want, and maybe I was interested in Rhode Island, like trying to like, or like a small state, just like trying to tap that on a small map. This isn't a very good experience on the phone. So just being thoughtful like that, I think is really helpful. And again, I would highly encourage you to check out what some of our amazing creative people in the community have done in terms of mobile visualizations.
So is the map and other components preserved on the tablet view since you used custom as part of your design?
Oh, yes. Yes. So if I went back, sorry, I just stopped sharing. Let me do this again. Let me know if you can see that again.
We can see it.
Okay, great. So yeah, I was mucking around with my phone layout. I created a custom phone layout rather than just inherit what was everything that was in the default layout. But if I go back to my tablet layout, right, it still just inherits what was in that original or that default layout. And that's nice because usually on a tablet, right, the resolution is much more, akin to what you would find on a desktop monitor. And so content that's built for desktop usually tends to work okay on a tablet. You don't tend to have to do a lot of work. Again, it depends how you designed it. But it's really the phone factor, I feel like, that it's really a step size difference. And that's really where you can create something that looks good. And again, like, I didn't have to be a special mobile developer to do this. Right? I just did a couple drag and drop, rearrange a couple things, was a little bit thoughtful around what does my mobile user actually need when they're on the road, right? I built this in a couple minutes. I didn't really need to do anything fancy.
Are you able to show us how to navigate to another dashboard in another project, like using an action on dashboard?
A dashboard on another project. Yeah, that one. That one's a little interesting. You can create. So I'm thinking here that this is sort of like I call it sort of like the guided analytics example, where you start at a high level, maybe you see a summary type of view or dashboard, and then to get more details, you could like tap something, and that would bring you to sort of bounce you out of that sort of high level dashboard and into another one. There are ways of doing that. It takes a little bit of extra work to do it because we don't have the concept of, at least within the app today, of deep linking, especially deep linking to other content in the same project. There is a way to do that using actions or parameters. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the way of doing that. What I will do is I will look that up and I will post it on the community thread that Tracy has there as a follow-up to this. There is a way of doing it, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Let me follow up to this call and I will post it there.
Sounds great. Let's see. He said he asked because in his case, he just opens in a browser and then it doesn't open in the Tableau app. So that's kind of what you're talking about for the roadmap.
That's right. Yeah, we don't. The app today doesn't have this deep linking capability, the ability to recognize links and open it directly in the app. So we're working on that. We're working on that first for external links, meaning links that originate outside of Tableau. So maybe I have an email with a link in it. I want to tap the link in the email, open that in the app. Or maybe I have a web portal that I'm looking at, right, in my web browser. I want to tap on that link, in that web portal and have it open the content directly in the app. So we're first focused on solving that problem with deep links. We are going to have, after we solve that problem, we are going to look at the scenario we're describing here of, we call it internal links, right? So how do I navigate from one dashboard to another? How do I tap something and have that other thing open in the app versus open in a web browser? We're gonna get to that as well.
Great. Well, looks like we only have about 5 minutes left, and no other questions. I'll give it a quick second, see if anyone's frantically typing away. But otherwise, thank you, Ted. This has been great.
Awesome.
I think everyone has enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll follow up on the community thread for any other questions or discussion.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We have one more question from Andy. So this will be our last question, and then we'll be done for the day.
Okay.
So when building for the iPhone 6s, there are two sizes for the display screen based on if the Tableau Mobile app checkbox is selected. Which one is best to use?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not maybe completely obvious about that either. We included that checkbox in there because in the Tableau mobile app, when you're using it, I think you saw it in my demo, the full size of the screen isn't devoted to just the viz. There's other things there. There's like the top little bar where like the time clock is, right? And where your, what your signal is. And then under that, we have the viz. The viz itself has its own toolbar with things like the undo and redo actions and so on in there. That checkbox is meant to if you know your users are going to be using the Tableau mobile app, that special checkbox is there to help tell Tableau, hey, these users are going to be using the Tableau mobile app, so take that into consideration, as you're figuring out the sizes, because the way that the toolbars and so on are displayed are going to be slightly different, right? There's different space occupied that has to be accounted for. And so that's really what that checkbox is. If you know your users are going to be using the Tableau mobile, that's what it's for. Now, one of the things that we've done just in this last release is we've introduced the concept of sort of a native toolbar, we call it, or a contextual toolbar. The toolbar for the viz used to be sort of embedded directly with the viz itself, right? Those undo buttons and so on used to be right with the sort of implemented inside sort of the viz container. With the latest release, we've actually moved those options out of the viz container and put it in our existing sort of app toolbar, right? We wanted to free up more space. Rather than have two toolbars, we just wanted to have one toolbar with all the options you would need and the right options exposed based on whatever context you were in. So I think with the new version of Tableau, that checkbox isn't going to be as relevant anymore. We're going to keep it in there for the older versions, so people who haven't upgraded to the newer versions of Tableau, they might still need it. But for new versions of Tableau, that checkbox, I believe, is probably going to go away because it's not needed anymore. But thanks for the question. It's not completely obvious why that would be there. So thanks for asking that, and we can clear it up. I know we're at the top of the hour. I wanted to say thank you so much. We love hearing from you. I share all your feedback with the engineers who build the product. They love to know that customers are using it. They love to hear what you're doing with it, what's going well, what isn't going well. They just love to hear from you. So please continue to share your feedback with us, share your ideas. We just love to hear it.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll post this video recording later today or tomorrow on the same thread. So thank you again for joining us. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.